All right, guys, welcome to week two, the week two lecture on governing bodies in sport administration. So, you have to understand this from the levels of institutional control, and this is probably the easiest thing to understand. So, you have the institution, and understand that the institution, guys, pretty much all starts at for the most part, the presidential level, even though you have boards of trustees, board of regents, board of governors type deal, the president has ultimate control over everything at an institution. Then it filters down to athletic directors and people within the athletic department. Then you have conference level, which is just a membership of where you belong. It's a group of schools that are usually like-minded, sometimes geographically located in the same place, that set rules that that govern participation in that conference. And then obviously you have a national level, which we're more used to, with which sets rules for belonging to that organization. NCAA, NAI are examples. So on a college campus, like I said, the board of trustees is kind of the grand oversight, but the president or chancellor pretty much runs athletics on campus. Now, they may not be involved on the day-to-day stuff, and everybody assumes that the AD is the highest ranking person in athletics, but it's not true. For instance, in NAI, there's a college of presidents, which ultimately decides everything that goes on within the NAI. Then it filters down to an athletic director who oversees the day-to-day operations within an athletic department. And then you have people who work within the athletic department. At a small school, that may be a handful of people. At a large school, that may be separate departments for each entity of athletics. Then it goes to the coaches, and then the athletes are at the bottom of the hierarchy, which again is as we talked about in week one, is an issue that's being discussed. So this concept of institutional control is that each institution basically holds authority over how they compete athletically. They choose whether or not they want to join a conference. They choose whether or not they want to join a national governing body. So it's very, very often that you see colleges choose to go up to NCAA, go from NCAA back to NAI, jump from different levels of NCAA. So it starts at the institutional level. They decide the rules and compliance that govern their own student athletes within their school. Their coaches have the responsibility to follow the rules and monitor their student athletes. At larger institutions, particularly Research One, Division One institutions, they have a whole department just responsible for compliance. The AD, bears the responsibility of the day-to-day activities, but the final authority again stays with the chancellor or the president. So you've got from an institutional standpoint, you've got several stakeholders that contribute to making athletics work. So from an internal standpoint, you have faculty, and their authority varies on campus. And there's always, and many of you have experienced this at Reinhardt, there's tension between athletics and academics. Every institution has a faculty athletic representative, and that's a person from the faculty who, one, has the final oversight on eligibility, but also is that person who's there to kind of bridge that gap between academics and athletics. At Reinhardt, that's me. And then they have university governing boards that often have an internal control on, for instance, being able to build facilities, spend money. Then you have people outside the university who have an impact. You have fans and donors, people who give money. You have alumni that give money. You have media that divvy out media contracts. And as you look at that, you'll be amazed that during this first week's assignment how much money's really involved. Then you get to the conference level. And the way a conference is organized, guys, it's all over the map. But usually the reason you have it is to kind of help scheduling out, to give you games you know are going to happen, to provide a championship, to help with officials, legislative services, rules, and to help with the promotion of schools within a conference. And there's somebody who's the leadership man. There's a commissioner of a conference, and the conference meets pretty regularly to decide, all kind of things from scheduling to rule changes to how they're going to deal with transfers, how they're going to deal with media money. All that stuff's discussed at the conference level. And then you get up to the level of national conferences. We'll talk about the NCAA first. It's over 1,100 colleges and universities, over 100 athletic conferences, and 40 sports organizations. And their goal is to govern the competition that happens within intercollegiate athletics and higher education. And they catch a lot of flack for the way they do things, and likely well-deserved. The NCAA is located in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it has a complete staff that, along with interns, that look at everything from compliance to communication to finance to running championships to just administrative services. And it's broken down into 3 levels, and I provide the link this week to some articles and some videos explaining NCAA. But Division I is what we're we know the best, and it's the highly visible part of NCAA. The FBS, these are Power 5 schools. They're eligible for bowl games. FCS are still Division I schools, but they don't have the financial means to compete, and they host their own championship as opposed to bowls. Division II is kind of an intermediate type level. They're looking at a balance between athletics and academics, and they don't have the scholarship numbers that NCAA Division I has. Then Division III is the largest of the NCAA divisions. Okay. 81% of these institutions are private, and there are no athletic scholarships. So there are many more athletes at the Division III level than at the Division I level, and even more athletes a lot of times at the NAIA level. Just to give you an idea, the University of Georgia has around 538 athletes on campus. We have 650 at Reinhardt. And then at the high school governance, every high school has a governing body within the state. They somehow break down divisions, conferences based on geographic area student enrollment. The GHSA is the official, is Georgia's high school governing organization. It has a whole staff similar to the NAIA that determines eligibility, rules, championships. And, they're kind of have a similar goal that they're looking to promote athletics through education in the state of Georgia. So that concludes this week's lecture, guys. Make sure you get on your first assignment, which is due at the end of this week.